This is a Clive Cussler book that I got at a thrift store in an everything that you can fit in a bag for $30 sale. I stuck this and a bunch of other books at the bottom of the bag. We may or may not review the other books. We're not sure yet. So this one is Plague Ship. It's an Oregon Files novel. This one isn't co-authored. See Clive Cussler's definition of co-author for more information. Basically, Jack Brul wrote this with Clive Cussler's name on it and his characters, which is different from some of I think the only other books that I've reviewed in the Oregon Files have been the ones that were co-written by Boyd Morrison, who doesn't really use a lot of swearing in his writing, but Jack Brul does. You sort of have to be careful with who you're looking at. This book has a lot of nods to actual things that happened in the real world. For instance, the starting here is a quote from the book by one of the evil characters. Arguably the greatest transfer of wealth in human history occurred when the plague swept through Europe and killed a third of its population. Lands were consolidated, allowing for a greater standard of living, not only for the owners but also for those who worked for them. This event was the single greatest contributor to the Renaissance and gave rise to Europe's eventual domination of the world. We're reading ourselves to death, How Overpopulation Will Destroy Civilization by Dr. Lydell Cooper, Raptor Press, 1977. If you, for some reason, have an interest in finding niche books from the 70s, you might know that We're Reading Ourselves to Death sounds very similar to Reading Ourselves to Death, which is an actual book by an actual man that was published in 1971. This book has some references to actual people. The responsivists are sort of like the Scientologists. I'm not sure if Scientology is for or against population control, but the other thing with these responsivists is that they believe that aliens are controlling their lives and that everything that goes wrong in their life is an alien's fault. Your girlfriend broke up with you? Don't worry, it was an alien from another dimension meddling in your life. Your children cut contact with you? Don't worry, it wasn't you, it was an alien. Basically, they're blaming all of their faults and their problems and their issues on otherworldly, interdimensional aliens. There are several plot lines in this book. Max Hanley, one of the main characters in the story's son, becoming a member of the responsivists and them trying to get him out of it. We have what's happening in this image right here, which is a cruise ship sinking because it exploded. I guess the major plot line is that the responsivists, they're planning to release a toxin somehow into the world that will sterilize half of the population. But it gets better. To plan out this wonderful idea of theirs, they used cruise ships that had their responsivist people on them and tested the efficiency and effectivity of their nasty little diseases, which is how we got this lovely thing happening here on the cover. This was the Golden Dawn, I think, that was poisoned, and everyone on the cruise ship died except one woman who was on, I think it was a ventilator, because she had severe asthma and she had an asthma attack right before everybody got sick. The Oregon happens upon this ship, finds the one survivor, sees what happened. The crew says, this is a bit odd. We should probably investigate this. So that's another one of the plot lines, which sort of devolves into two of them sneaking onto the cruise ship. Even though it is written by someone other than who writes a lot of the books, a lot of the Clive Cussler books that I tend to read, like many Cussler books, it doesn't have much romance in it. It has death, destruction, violence, murder. You've got the whole father-son thing with the kid who joined the responsivists. Well, there are a whole other bunch of storylines, but they're revealed later in the book, so I feel I cannot tell you them without spoiling the book for you. We'll link it for you. And if you'd like to read the Reading Ourselves to Death book, we'll link that one for you too. And until we see you again, make sure to make time for reading a good book.